I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was. I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christian, you tell.
Imagine getting the role of a lifetime, blowing it in front of millions, watching the entire franchise crumble around you, and then turning around and suing the very network that gave you the opportunity. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening now. Bella Ramsey, the once celebrated face of The Last of Us, is reportedly taking legal action against HBO after being quietly replaced. And Joe Rogan, fans, and insiders alike are stunned. Not because she's taking a stand, but because she refuses to take any responsibility.
Because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What? Nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season. I think I found a way through.
Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job. Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsey in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons. So in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same.
That's right. Instead of reflecting on what went wrong or addressing the mountain of backlash that followed her performance in season 2, Bella's now going after the people who gave her a platform in the first place. And according to Joe Rogan, this lawsuit might just be the final proof that Hollywood ego has completely spiraled out of control. When the news first broke, the reaction was instant and explosive. According to several leaked reports, Bella's legal team is preparing to file a claim against HBO, alleging wrongful termination, breach of contract, and reputational damage. The claim argues that HBO promised long-term involvement in The Last of Us and that Bella was unjustly cut after negative fan feedback. But here's the thing. Fans didn't just wake up one day and decide they didn't like Bella. The downfall was long, public, and entirely preventable if she had handled things differently. Joe Rogan addressed the news immediately on his show, shaking his head in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding me," he said. "She gets cast in one of the biggest roles on television, messes it up in front of the world, gets replaced, and now she wants to sue the network for it?" Rogan didn't hold back, accusing Bella of trying to shift the blame after a historic collapse that, in his words, she brought entirely on herself. Let's rewind for a second. Bella Ramsey was handed the role of Ellie, one of the most beloved characters in modern gaming. HBO invested millions into adapting The Last of Us, a franchise that came with a massive, passionate fan base. The first season was a hit. Critics praised the story. Pedro Pascal's performance was widely celebrated, and for a while, Bella even received praise for her unique take on the younger version of Ellie. But things began to unravel quickly. By season 2, the tone shifted, and so did the audience. Viewers complained that Bella's portrayal of the older Ellie felt stiff, emotionless, and disconnected from the heart of the character they loved. Instead of adjusting, Bella pushed back. She doubled down in interviews, dismissed the critiques, and made it clear she wasn't interested in hearing what the fans had to say. That's when everything started falling apart. Joe Rogan brought this up, reminding his audience that it wasn't just fans who noticed the change. Critics began to soften their tone, interviews were canceled, and eventually viewership numbers started to fall. "She stopped being Ellie and started being Bella playing Ellie," Joe said. And once the audience saw that it was over, HBO's response was quiet but telling. Instead of launching season 3, they began quietly distancing themselves. Bella was noticeably absent from promotional events. Press coverage slowed to a trickle. Eventually, her name vanished entirely from future production updates. There was no public firing, no announcement, just silence. And now, that silence is being met with a lawsuit. Bella's legal team is reportedly arguing that the backlash she faced was mishandled by HBO and that their silence during her public fallout left her reputation exposed. But fans and insiders aren't buying it. Joe Rogan put it bluntly, You're not entitled to praise just because you landed the part. You have to earn it, and if you lose the audience, that's on you. What's especially ironic, Rogan pointed out, is that Bella had every opportunity to own the role, evolve with it, and win back the fans. But instead of humility, she offered defiance. Instead of reflection, she gave excuses. And now, after the damage is done, she wants to rewrite the narrative with a legal case. Joe called it a classic Hollywood move: burn the bridge, then sue the builder. Insiders close to the production say HBO tried everything to keep Bella on track. Creative adjustments were suggested, rehearsals were lengthened, even extra coaching was offered. But Bella wasn't interested in compromise. One source claims she frequently challenged script rewrites and pushed back on emotional scenes she didn't agree with. She thought she was co-directing the show, the insider said, and that's when we knew we had a problem. The real twist came when rumors of recasting began to surface. Fans started floating suggestions for new actresses to take over the role of Ellie, and those suggestions picked up steam online. Forums exploded with casting ideas, fan trailers were made, the online demand for change grew louder with every episode. Joe Rogan highlighted how rare it is for a fan base to actively demand a recast mid-series, and how that should have been a massive red flag. But Bella didn't acknowledge any of it. Instead, she disappeared from the spotlight. Her social media accounts went dark. No interviews, no fan engagement, no goodbye post. And according to Rogan, that kind of silence only made things worse. You don't go silent unless you know you messed up, he said. That's not protecting your peace. That's hiding from the fallout. Then came the final nail in the coffin. HBO quietly confirmed through unnamed sources that Bella Ramsey would not be returning for any future Last of Us content. The decision wasn't made in a boardroom overnight. It was the result of declining ratings, fractured fan support, and internal conflict. And now, instead of taking accountability, Bella's suing the very people who tried to help her succeed. Legal experts reviewing the leaked lawsuit say it's a long shot. Employment in entertainment, especially for roles tied to audience reception, is heavily dependent on public response. Contracts usually include performance clauses, flexibility on creative direction, and termination clauses. In other words, HBO was well within their rights to cut ties if the public reaction to Bella's performance jeopardized the future of the series. Joe Rogan predicted that the lawsuit will not only fail, but will also backfire. You don't fix your image by blaming everyone else, he said. You fix it by taking ownership. This just makes her look even more out of touch. He added that future casting directors are going to look at the situation and think twice. She didn't just lose a role, she's losing trust. And the fans? They're not exactly on Bella's side either. Social media threads are filled with users expressing disbelief that she would take such a step. Many pointed out that the show's collapse wasn't a mystery. It was a slow, visible train wreck. She wasn't removed unfairly, one user wrote. She was removed because she didn't deliver. Even former co-stars have been quiet, no public support, no comments, no reposts. Bella Ramsey, once the face of $1 billion franchise, now finds herself alone in a legal battle she chose to start. And Rogan said it best, that's not just a bad career move, that's career suicide. This story isn't just about a lawsuit, it's about what happens when ego replaces growth. Bella Ramsey had everything she needed to succeed: talent, opportunity, resources. But she chose defiance over development, and now she's paying the price, not in private, but in a public courtroom that's already lost its patience. Joe ended his rant with a warning to young stars everywhere. Don't think the industry owes you loyalty when you stop respecting the role. Don't think fans will stay quiet when you start treating them like the problem. And don't think a lawsuit will save your reputation when your downfall was filmed in high definition. Bella Ramsey suing HBO might make headlines, but it won't change the truth. The show was a masterpiece in the making, and she let it slip through her fingers. Now, the only story left to tell is how a promising star tried to turn failure into a courtroom battle and lost the support of the very people who once rooted for her. As Bella Ramsey's lawsuit against HBO picked up media traction, The network finally broke its silence, but not with a flashy press conference or a public clapback. Instead, HBO responded with a short, direct legal filing, and it was brutal. Their lawyers didn't waste a second defending Bella's performance. They made it clear her removal was not only justified, it was necessary. The legal document laid out a cold, calculated argument. Audience drop-off, negative reception, and creative disputes justified their choice to cut ties. The filing pointed to specific clauses in Bella's contract referencing performance continuity and audience cohesion. These weren't just buzzwords, they were legal firepower. HBO argued that Bella's divisiveness made her a threat to the long-term integrity of the franchise. In short, she wasn't removed because she was unpopular. She was removed because she no longer served the product. And that's a legal hill HBO was more than ready to die on. Joe Rogan reacted to the filing with a mix of astonishment and humor. This is the corporate version of saying it's not me, it's you, but actually it's definitely you, he joked on his show. He read segments of the response live, shaking his head at the sheer force of HBO's rebuttal. But beneath the laughs was a clear message. Bella didn't just pick the wrong fight, she underestimated how serious the studio was about cutting her out for good. More revelations came out as the case progressed. Insiders from HBO's legal and creative departments started sharing details with entertainment outlets. They revealed how season 2 had been a logistical nightmare. Between missed rehearsals, creative pushback, and on-set tension, production delays piled up. According to one staffer, entire scenes had to be rewritten to accommodate Bella's discomfort with the material. She wanted to change things that were already locked in. Scenes that had been approved months earlier were suddenly being debated on shooting days. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the network was running damage control. They hired consultants to track social sentiment in real time, and what they found was alarming. Bella wasn't just unpopular, she was actively pushing fans away. The sentiment tracker showed a spike in negative engagement tied to interviews, episode releases, and social media posts. The data was clear. Bella was becoming the face of everything fans didn't like about the direction of the show. When this data was included in the court filings, Rogan's commentary turned sharp. "You can't argue with numbers," he said. "When you're literally chasing away the people who watch the show, you can't expect the studio to just keep you around out of courtesy." He also pointed out that this data wasn't hidden. It had been public. It was just that Bella refused to acknowledge it. The lawsuit quickly became a media circus. Lawyers on both sides issued cryptic statements. Pop culture blogs ran with every update. Talk shows debated whether Bella had a chance. And through it all, Bella still didn't make a public appearance. That silence, once seen as mysterious, was now viewed as tactical, or worse, cowardly. "You started this fight," Joe said, "and now you're hiding behind your legal team." Even former allies in the industry began backing away. An anonymous actress who had worked with Bella on a previous project spoke out, saying she wasn't surprised by the lawsuit. She's always had a chip on her shoulder. Even before The Last of Us, she thought she knew better than everyone in the room. That quote went viral, sparking debates about whether Bella's behavior was an isolated incident or part of a longer pattern. On the other side, fans began turning the case into a cultural moment. Hashtags like "Stand with HBO" and "Ellie deserved better" started trending. Memes mocking the lawsuit popped up everywhere. One viral post featured Bella in a courtroom sketch with the caption, "Sued her way into unemployment." The court of public opinion had clearly taken its stance. Joe Rogan spent an entire follow-up episode exploring what he called the delusion of entitlement. He wasn't just talking about Bella, he was talking about a growing trend in Hollywood. "Too many actors think a lead role is a guarantee," he said. "It's not, it's a test. And if you fail the test, don't be surprised when the gig doesn't come back for season 3. He compared Bella's behavior to that of actors who took criticism as fuel, not insult. "Look at someone like Bryan Cranston," Joe said. "He took every bit of fan feedback and made Breaking Bad better with each season. Bella, she took criticism as an attack and fought everyone who disagreed." That comparison drove the point home. Great actors evolve. Bella, in this case, didn't. As the legal battle dragged on, HBO doubled down. They began quietly reshooting concept scenes with a new actress rumored to be playing Ellie in future spin-offs. Sources say early footage has already tested better with focus groups than anything from season 2. And that's the ultimate insult. Not only did Bella get replaced, her replacement is already being welcomed by the same audience that rejected her. Rogan reacted to that development with a heavy dose of sarcasm. "So let me get this straight," he said. "She sues for being replaced and the replacement is already doing better?" "Yeah, this lawsuit's going great." Fans chimed in with agreement. Comment sections filled with lines like, "The new Ellie already feels like the one we were supposed to get," and "Bella who?" Legal analysts began weighing in on the odds. Most agreed Bella's case had a little chance of succeeding, but more interestingly, they speculated on her motivations. Was this really about being wronged, or was it a last-ditch effort to stay relevant? Joe offered his own take. "This isn't about justice. This is about spotlight. She lost the role, the fans, the respect. Now she's trying to get the headlines back. And even if she wins the case, which few expect, what then? She won't be rehired. The franchise has already moved on. Her reputation in the industry has taken a massive hit. Studios hate legal baggage. Casting directors don't want lawsuits following actors onto set. This isn't just a courtroom fight, it's a long-term career killer. And Bella's making every wrong move imaginable." Rogan also made a broader point about accountability. He said the lesson in all of this is painfully simple. Own your mistakes. If Bella had just come out after season 2 and said, hey, I tried something different, it didn't land, I'll do better, people would have respected that. Instead, she chose silence, then blame, then legal threats, and each move pushed her further into isolation. The public's patience has worn thin. What was once frustration is now exhaustion. Nobody wants to hear excuses anymore. They want resolution. They want their favorite story back on track. And unfortunately, Bella's lawsuit isn't helping. It's holding up progress. The industry is watching this unfold like a slow-motion car crash. Executives from other networks are reportedly using Bella's lawsuit as a worst-case scenario in internal meetings. Legal teams are reworking performance clauses. PR managers are being told to monitor cast interviews more closely, and actors being considered for major roles are being quietly vetted for ego risk. Bella didn't just lose a job, she triggered an industry-wide recalibration, one that reminds everyone that fame without responsibility is a recipe for disaster. Joe Rogan wrapped up his coverage by putting it in perspective. She had the chance to be iconic. She blew it. She could have walked away with dignity. She didn't. And now, instead of being remembered for a great performance, she's going to be remembered for the lawsuit that no one believed in.